really like you and I want to work for you.
Welcome to the Lavendaire Lifestyle, the podcast on personal growth and lifestyle design. My name's Eileen, and I'm here to guide you to become a master artist of life. Every Sunday, you'll get new insight and inspiration on how to create your dream life. After the episode, the conversation continues in our Lavendaire Lifestyle Facebook group, so I can't wait to see you there. Life is an art. Make it your masterpiece. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lavendaire Lifestyle. It's your host, Eileen. Today's episode is for our creatives, especially if you're interested in graphic design and you want to learn more about how to break into the industry. With us today is a special guest named Dawn Lee. You might not recognize her name, but Dawn has worked with YouTubers like Jen Im, Laura DIY, and Mariana Hewitt. And through her design studio, she's worked with brands like Fenty Beauty, Eggy, and ColourPop. So Dawn Lee is the lead designer and art director of DLD.studio, an LA-based boutique design and visual art studio that works with brands, influencers, and YouTubers. Before founding DLD.studio, she was mostly known as the freelance graphic designer responsible for YouTuber Jen Im's graphics and branding. Currently, Dawn is also a coach for young design students and provides portfolio review service and a mentorship program. I personally knew Dawn back in college at USC, so it's just been so amazing to see how much she's grown and how her career has flourished over the years. If you want to learn more about her journey and how she built up all these amazing clients, listen on. Hi, Dawn. Welcome to the Lavendaire Lifestyle.
Hi, Eileen. Such an honor to be on it.
I know. I'm so happy you're here. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of you, just seeing how much you've grown since college. It's crazy. It's really, really cool to see.
I know. So I was telling my partner the other day about how I knew you back in college when I was a little freshman. You were the cool senior and it's kind of crazy. I always looked up to you because, out of everyone, you were being the creative and really going out there and doing really cool stuff. I think it's just so crazy that it's come full circle and now I'm coming onto your podcast.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we were only in college for 1 year together, and after that I was actually really lost in my life because I was not sure what I wanted to do, and I was really doing all these random music, acting, all these things. But back in college, did you know that you wanted to be a graphic designer?
Actually, I didn't. So I got into USC more as a painting major, actually. So I think I always knew I wanted to do something in the creative field or the arts, but it was around sophomore year when I started realizing through my digital tools classes that, it's really fun to manipulate images on Photoshop and creating animation and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of when I started realizing, hey, maybe this could be my career.
So did you first think you were going to be in painting?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
fine
That's
art.
so rare.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember my relatives would always kind of yell at me that's not really a good dream because, it's very costly and you're not going to make a lot of money as an artist unless you become the next Picasso.
Yeah. And you came from Korea too to go to school, and it's a big deal, right?
It was, yeah. So I'm actually really happy that, life turned out the way it did because I still do believe that my painting background and just, fine arts in general definitely helped me develop an eye for things that I do now.
Oh, for sure. I totally think that too. How did you get into graphic design? Was it just through classes or did you do some learning on your own?
Funny story. When I was about in second grade of elementary school, I was really obsessed with watching, Lizzie McGuire and Even Stevens.
Aww.
That's So Raven. And
I did too. Yeah.
around that time is when I saw a lot of people posting on Zanga, or was this even
Zanga.
before that? Yeah, people were posting a lot of GIFs of funny clips from these popular TV shows, and I wanted to learn how to do it. So I actually asked my mom to sign me up for a very basic Photoshop class when I was in second or third grade.
Oh my God, that's so young.
It's so young, right? It's right after, I didn't even have a computer back then, actually. It was my mom's computer that I would just use, or the family computer. And I remember asking my instructor to teach me how to make GIFs, and she thought that was the weirdest thing because most people want to learn about very general skills on how to use the computer.
And GIFs were not as big back then as they are now, right? It was
It was
Yeah.
like the coolest thing. Yeah.
Wow.
So thanks to that, it's kind of funny how, again, like life comes full circle because when I was making things like that, it was just for like plain hobby and I would make these things and I think I used to like try to post them on Tumblr
Mm,
or something like that.
yeah.
And like I would get so much joy off of just like posting it and then having people like repost it or like comment on and saying like, oh haha, that was such a funny episode or like that was such a funny moment. Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it kind of makes
No, but that's really cute to hear that it started way back
yeah.
then. And the work that you're doing now, it is like
Hmm.
pretty animated. Like your style is very unique. It's not just graphic design, it's like the video and so much
Right.
more, you know? And then when you were like studying painting and then you switched to graphic design, did you have this specific style already or do you think it's evolved since back then?
Ooh, it's definitely evolved, and I think it's still evolving.
Yeah.
Things like I think I've always been kind of drawn to things like bold colors or kind of like
Mhm.
that the pop elements of art. But
Yeah.
I feel like even in the past year or two, my art has evolved a lot, and I guess it's a part of like it's like life. Like I think I hold on to certain parts of my art from the past, but certain parts are always going to be changing.
Mm. Do you try to purposely like evolve on purpose or is it more like it naturally happens? Because sometimes, like, say people really like your style from like 2 years ago. Do you like
Yeah.
keep making that or do you force yourself to do something new?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely keep some of them, like my old, I guess, styles, if you want to call it, on purpose because I do hold on to, like some of the works that I've done in the past for like different people. But at the same time, I feel like a big influence
Mm-hmm.
that causes my art to keep evolving is also the changing clients that I encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't make all of my art for just clients, and there are like I guess, self driven projects. But at the same time, I think depending on like what some of my clients want for their channel or their blog or their website, I'm like adapting new looks.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, like with each client, you create something for them so that shapes your style too.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, let's rewind because after you graduated, what was your story and how you started freelancing and eventually working with YouTubers and all these big brands?
Ooh, so going back to the year end of 2015 slash early
Mm-hmm.
2016, I was straight out of college. Wasn't one of those kids that was super prepared by the time I graduated. So I didn't really have a job lined up
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I was just a little bit lost. And I think, this is why I really resonated with, I think, one of your podcast episodes where you talk about like that feeling of like not knowing what to do after college. And
Yeah, it's
I
the worst,
yeah,
especially if you're a high achiever.
yeah, exactly. Like I
Yeah.
always considered myself like a pretty decent student, like never
Yeah.
the one to like fall behind or anything like that. So I think that when that reality hit and I was like seeing all my friends like getting hired at big accounting companies or like the fancy
Mm-hmm.
jobs and I was kind of like, "Oh, what now?" So that's kind of when I realized, okay, I really need to start building up my portfolio because as an artist, that is pretty much what's going to be like my, I guess, selling factor. As I was building up my portfolio, I was actually still looking to
Mm-hmm.
apply for like a I don't know, like a cushy job at like a big design agency. And as I was sending in these applications and working on my portfolio, I did want to make some side money. So I started hitting up some of those like content creators.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I would say Jen was one of the
Mm-hmm.
first people that I reached out to.
Yeah. And
And
how did you pitch yourself to her? Like, did you have work to show?
no, you're gonna laugh, but literally, I emailed her saying, "Hi, I really like you and I want to work for you." That was like the
Oh,
subject. And then I think I linked my portfolio and I just gave like a 2 sentence introduction of like who I am, how I graduated
yeah.
recently, and I'm just like a fan of her videos. And I thought, take a look at my work, see if there's anything you like, and if you feel like we could be a good fit, like I'd love to do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like to my surprise, she actually responded pretty quickly, like in like less than 2 hours or something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, because I remember I was in a cafe when I sent that, and I got a response from her before I left the cafe that day.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I went
And it
home.
might have been timing, like, she might have
Yeah.
been looking for a designer too at
Right.
that moment.
And
Mhm,
it was, like, even crazier because we turned out we were both living in downtown, and she, like, was
mhm.
like, "Do you wanna just meet up at this cafe, like, next week?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to." So, I showed up to the cafe the next week with, like, my laptop, and I, like, so hard to dress, like, something really impressive, and and she came in, and it was so funny because she was looking for me because she doesn't know what I look like, but in my mind, like, I already know what she looks like, so I was, like, waving at her like, "Hi,"
Yeah,
and then she was like, "Oh, are you Dawn?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I feel like the rest is kind of history from there because I think I showed up to that meeting also with, like,
yeah.
a really prepared. I actually made some mock banners for her, so it was, like,
Mm.
kind of like my pitch.
And did she use any of those mock-ups, like, in her current designs, or did it change completely?
Oh, actually, she ended up really liking a lot of the mock-ups that I showed her, but she
Yeah.
had a favorite, so that one actually ended up becoming her banner, and
Aw.
she had it as her banner in the year 2017, and then in 2018, she wanted to change it, so we made her a new banner together.
Yeah, I think I remember the previous banner too.
Yeah.
I love this story so much because I love that you just like went for it. And I want to break it down
Mhm.
because I know a lot of listeners are younger, they're aspiring graphic designers, and they want to work in this industry. So,
Mm.
can you talk about how you built your portfolio when you had nothing? And also, like, the fact that you were so prepared to that first meeting.
Definitely, yeah, had to build up my portfolio from really like having really crappy projects to, trying to make something that's a little bit more tied up and put together. Honestly, I think I did it through lots of, like, I don't want to sound all corny, but I feel like I just had to put in the hours and the effort and like really starting to dissect what, like,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I'm sure, I mean, you're a big YouTuber, so I'm sure you already know this, but I think in 2016, not too many people had like super professional banners or anything like that. At the time, I remember
Yeah.
like not seeing too many people who had really impressive work in the YouTube space. And so I actually had to start looking for
Mm-hmm.
inspiration outside of YouTube, and I was looking, like different very
Mm-hmm.
stylish fashion website banners, and I was trying to look at like what magazines were doing at the time, and I just started practicing like laying out the typography and laying out like the cutout image of the subject and what kind of background colors and textures would complement these.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just tried making these things over and over again to the
Wow.
point where I started understanding that there was like a formula to it.
Wow. So when you're making these things, it's just like you're doing it for yourself, right? It's not test clients or anything. You just,
No.
okay.
Yeah. And I sent out a lot of, like, those mock-up images
Mm-hmm.
as a way to also make my pitch seem more enticing to people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so that was kind of how I built up my portfolio, honestly, just a lot of practice.
Yeah. I think that's a really great tip to like make those mock-ups for the space, like for YouTubers, so that they can see your work.
Mm,
Cause like I've searched for graphic designers too, but people will have like designs in like different areas, like a flyer or like, all these different things that don't
mm.
relate to what you do. And it's hard to imagine it.
Right,
You don't know what their work is going to look like until
exactly.
you see that exact thing, whether it's an animation or a banner. So I think that's a great tip for like designers out
Yeah.
there to just like you just have to make it before you even get the client.
Exactly, like, you couldn't have said it better, and that's actually something that I plan on teaching. So I have some girls that are actually also wanting to be mentored by me and coach. So, I
Mm,
actually I was supposed to take on 5, but now I'm planning on taking on 7. But
wow.
to these girls, I also want to teach exactly what you said about you need to understand that these people that you want to work for, they have no reason to like automatically trust you
Mm-hmm.
unless you can really show them exactly what you can do and apply it to their craft and what they're doing and their platform.
Yeah,
Otherwise, like, how are they supposed to know? Like, you might have really good work in something that's so irrelevant, but that doesn't automatically mean that
exactly.
you are suited for this other job.
It's so true because like you
Yeah.
can't imagine how it will translate. Like they might be great at making one thing, but you don't know how they'll do making your stuff. So That's like,
Exactly.
yeah, let's go back. That's so cool that you're mentoring younger designers. Like, where did you find these girls? And
Mhm.
talk about why you're doing this.
Yeah, I think as our business started to grow, I started getting a lot of emails in my hello email, girls asking for design tips, asking me questions about like what programs I use or, how do you do like a specific like this neon effect or X, Y, and Z. And I realized that a lot of these questions were actually very repetitive. They all wanted to know the same things. That actually inspired me to put myself out there a little bit more and start these like Instagram lives called Chit Chat at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I would just go live on Instagram with my business partner, Sophie, and we would just answer questions that people would have for us or just go through some of the DMs that I got regarding design or how to start your design business. And we then started getting DMs or emails from people saying, hey, like totally missed your live because I'm in Belarus. I can't go back to your chit chat because basically the 24-hour window has closed. They were like, how is there any way I could read these again or view these again? And that's kind of when I started realizing that, wow, like people actually do want to go back to these tips or tricks and try it out for themselves. So that also inspired us to actually create a free ebook, and it's called How I Got My First Big Client. And it talks about like my journey of going through like my struggles post college and how I went from a freelancer to like a business owner, and how, that same story that I basically told you about how I hit up Jen was what I kind of wrote out in the book.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think you're so smart for doing that. And like, if you ever wanted to expand your blog or like even make a YouTube about design, you could totally do that.
So actually funny that you bring that up because
Yeah.
literally, yeah, not even a week ago, actually, we made a YouTube channel. The story of like people telling us that they can't see it after the 24 hours. We realized that it would be better for us to put in the same amount of effort, but make the content more permanent so that people can
Yeah.
always go back and read it, or like people who might discover us later on, like we don't have to go over the same thing over and over with people,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we made a YouTube channel. It's super new. We only have like, I don't know, like 92
Okay.
subscribers or
What's the
something
name
like
of the
that.
channel? I have to
It's,
check it out.
oh yeah. Oh my God. So it's called DLD.studio,
Okay.
DLD.studio. But oh my God, I think we need 100 people, subscribers to get verified. So we
Okay.
don't even have like a slash something domain.
I'm sure by the time this episode's out, you'll have 100
I
subscribers.
hope
I'll
so.
subscribe right
Oh,
after
thank
this, but
you.
I know you'll get there.
We want to use that channel to not only talk about like our design tips and tricks, but we also want to really showcase like what other admirable creatives are doing in the industry, because I feel like sometimes being a creative or like kind of being behind the computer screen, people don't really get to appreciate like your craft and your process. And all they see is like kind of the shiny finished product. So yeah, we plan on like bringing on different kinds of like clients that we have or creatives, and hate to put you on the spot, but we would love to have you on one of our
Oh my
episodes
God, I would
too.
love to be
Please,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so cool of you to do, and it's so smart.
Thank you.
What will you do for your dreams in 2019? Introducing the Artist of Life Workbook and Daily Planner by Lavendaire, tools to help you create your best year in 2019. If you love journaling, self-discovery, creativity, and productivity, these are perfect for you. Filled with 125 pages of questions and exercises, the 2019 Artist of Life Workbook walks you through reflecting on your past year, setting goals and intentions for the new year, discovering yourself, staying committed to your goals, and tracking your progress monthly. The Daily Planner by Lavendaire is a tool to help you design a productive, effective, and meaningful day. The Artist of Life Workbook helps you plan a macro view of your life, while the Daily Planner helps you plan the micro. Together, these tools will help you build your dream life one page at a time. They're seriously life-changing, and they make great gifts too. Go to shop.lavendaire.com to check them out. Sending you so much light. Can you talk about what made you want to become a design studio, going from freelancer to like founder and business owner?
Yeah, I think it's because I realized that for me, taking on a lot of clients is really good. But there came a point where I wanted to help out all these like different clients or people or brands that were coming to us. But I realized that with me just being a one man team, it was getting really hard. because I would have to spend, the whole morning. I don't know, I would spend like a good 4 or 5 hours just getting back to people daily through emails or like calls. And that actually left me only like a good 2, 3 hours a day to do my design work.
Mm-hmm.
And my design work was getting really backed up, but there were more requests coming in. And I think it was just
Yeah.
getting really overwhelming for me and this was around like 2017. So, like a year
Mm.
after I started working with Jen. And that's kind of when I partnered up with my partner Sophie, who I
Yeah.
talked about earlier, because she kind of had the same vision as
Mm-hmm.
me, but she had the more business side of skills that I felt like I was personally lacking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of started helping me manage my daily schedule and also like help me talk to clients without me personally having to be
Yeah.
on all these calls and responding to emails. And I think it's so disheartening when you put in so many hours to like crafting like a really professional email and you don't even get a response or you don't
Oh
get that
yeah.
gig. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so do you guys do a lot of outreach rather than like people coming? I'm sure you have a lot of people coming to you, but you also do outreach?
We actually really don't. We should.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. When I
Well,
meant
I'm just
crafting
curious.
emails, yeah, I
Yeah.
meant kind of responding to people who inquire about us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do have to say that we have been doing a little bit more outreach lately just because we're also trying to find more opportunities to give to like our junior designers or like the mentees that I'm planning on coaching this spring.
Mm,
And I would love to like help them kind of get gigs and really like give
yeah.
them a hand to hold on to so that they could start off their design businesses.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. And how did you meet your business partner, Sophie?
She also went to USC, so fight
Mm-hmm.
on. She was a grade under me, but we had the same, I think, art theory class. And I would like see her talking during like presentations or things like that. And I also always thought that she kind of was this like fiery person. And I personally don't consider myself like a super fiery person. So I kind of liked talking to her and kind of
Mm-hmm.
picking at her brain and also like it was like a fun energy to always talk to her, but we were never like besties or anything at the time. And I think a year like after we graduated, we would always like catch up and grab our little like seasonal brunches. And she was at a place where this is a year after she started working at her job at like a big tech company. She was telling me about how she feels so unfulfilled and like she didn't really like the culture that she was in. And for me, like that was the time I started feeling really overwhelmed and stressed about the emails and like, how do I manage this business by
Mm-hmm.
myself?
Yeah.
And so we kind of just looked at each other one day and we're like, hey, what if we like teamed up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's
It's
kind of
so good to
crazy.
find like your other half, in
Yeah. It really
business.
is.
Yeah. So now that you have a business partner, what does most of your time go to?
Mhm.
Like, are you still designing a lot or what are you doing?
Yeah, I would say yes, definitely designing a lot. 3, 4 full days a week I spend on designing. And then it actually
Okay.
allowed me to start looking into more content creation. So I do understand that social media is like a big part of what we do,
Mm,
and we need to always be on top of like sharing our work and sharing our process and just being open and engaged with the community. So
mm-hmm.
it definitely freed up my hands a lot in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently got into like art directing.
Yeah.
So that was something I was kind of always looking at, like, oh, I wonder if that's something I could take on one of these days, and kind of set it as a long-term milestone for myself. But
Mm,
actually, at the end of last year, I was hired by the Sincerely Jules team, who's like a blogger,
yeah. Yeah.
and to art direct one of her very first, I think, video projects.
Mm,
So that was really
that's
super
awesome.
meaningful. I like almost cried that day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in the next few years? Where do you want to grow towards? Is it art directing or what else?
I would love to take on more art directing gigs, but I
Mm-hmm.
think in the end, like I'm always gonna be a designer, and I would never like completely let go of doing designs. I want
Mm-hmm.
to, one thing, okay, let me refer back to one of your podcast episodes actually.
Okay.
But we really listen to your stuff a lot and we're always like
Oh my
nodding
God,
and
you're so
so we're
cute.
like nodding and like looking at each other like, yeah, that like
Aw.
resonates so much with us. But I think you said
Mm-hmm.
something about in one of your episodes, you talked about how there's two different kinds of people. One is a jackhammer and the other is like a hummingbird.
Oh, yeah.
It was like one of your old
Yeah,
episodes,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. And I think I always saw myself as a jackhammer,
Mm.
but I think in the past year, I started seeing myself more as a hummingbird.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I used to be like pure design, all design, like design or nothing, like just art, making stuff behind the computer.
Yeah.
But now, now that I've dabbled a little bit in art direction, now that I'm trying out like coaching and just engaging with people, now that I'm trying also like content creation,
Mm-hmm.
I've developed like a different kind of passion for
That's amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I consider myself a hummingbird too because I can't get
Yeah.
I can't do one thing for too long. I really have to try out all
Mm.
these different things. But that's cool to hear how you've evolved.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to move on to some Facebook questions that we got from our Lavi Love community. So the first question is from Sumaira. She asked, how do we learn about graphic designing from scratch at home?
Ooh, I would say, first of all, you do have to probably get the Adobe Creative Suite because I'm not sure if you can try doing graphic design without any of like the core programs. And I would say just watch tutorial
Mm-hmm.
videos and get familiar with the tools. And then maybe what you could then try out is like find like a simple but cool image or banner that you see on the internet and then try replicating it by like dissect it and try replicating it. That was for me the best way to learn how to
Mm-hmm.
do graphic design.
Wow. Okay, so the next question is from Kizzy. What are your best tips for portfolio building and getting started with doing graphic design professionally?
Build your portfolio relevant to where you want to go. So I think in college, your professors kind of teach you that what's important is to kind of have a very well rounded or generic. I would, but they probably didn't say
Yeah.
generic, but that was kind of my takeaway
But
during
it is
college,
generic.
right?
Yeah.
Like but I think that's only if you want to go into like a big design agency and they need to see like a wide like range of different kinds of skills. But in my opinion, if you want to have your own design business and if you know the specific industry that you want to go into, I think it's important to actually kind of sharpen your skills, especially for that field, and kind of craft your portfolio so that everything showcased is relevant.
Mm, that's such a good tip because
Oh,
it's not
thank you.
about being great at everything, but just being sharp in that
Right.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, next question is from Leanna. How did you market yourself to stand out from other graphic designers?
Ooh. I think it's not really about having the best set of skills, but I personally think that you can't market yourself as the best designer to every single person or employer out there. But what I do think is that you can kind of pick and choose the people you really want to appeal to and kind of like my answer to the previous question, like craft your portfolio so that you stand out the most to them. Make
Mm-hmm.
your work very relevant and like try to give them what they're looking for.
Yeah, totally. And back then, was Jen Im your favorite YouTuber?
Oh my God, yes. Like I would just watch her stuff all the time. And honestly, I don't even think I knew she was going to respond. I think I just sent it. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
what I was thinking, but it worked.
No,
Yeah.
I love that because I think some people think that, oh, Jen is so unreachable or these YouTubers are unreachable,
Yeah.
which we technically do see all the messages that come in, but it depends on what you say that makes us respond. You know, if you have
Totally.
something valuable to share, it's gonna catch our attention.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna move on to some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Ooh, I am.
Okay, what does your dream life look like?
Ooh, lots of coffee, puppies, puppies rolling around.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, lots of
That's
sunlight.
perfect.
Okay, sorry, I'm being like too maybe visual with this
No, I
description.
love that. I love that.
And just like a day full of really inspiring and work that
Mm-hmm.
evokes like emotion and passion.
On that, I'm gonna veer off and ask another question, but like,
Yeah.
what do you do when you're not inspired? Because I know you can get in a rut, you can get like designer block or whatever. What do you do?
Totally. I actually try to do the opposite thing of thinking hard, which is to just shut off my brain. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty embarrassed to say this, but I'm like a huge TV junkie, and to be
Mm.
specific, like trash slash reality TV junkie. So
Okay.
sometimes, like when I'm so overwhelmed and I'm, yeah, like in a rut, I just stop, move physically away from the computer, sit in front of the TV, just like watch things mindlessly. But I think what I do there is I'm shutting off my brain, but my eyes are still watching and observing. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think TV is one of the best inspirational, like, tools that a designer can have, because there's so much content, and like all of, like, if you really dissect a lot of the TV shows, like you can really take away a lot about like the way things are edited, or the way they add in the music, or the way the title graphics are made, and like
Mm-hmm.
transitions and things like that. And I think for me, like trying harder to be creative when I'm not already feeling that creative kind of backfires, so I just
Yeah.
have to turn it all off.
You just need a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, back to the rapid fire questions. What is one book or resource that you recommend to everybody?
Ooh, I have a good one. Your book.
Okay. What? Oh, did you
Yeah.
get it already?
Yeah, I did. Oh my God, thank you
Oh.
so much.
Oh, thank you. So, next question is, what is one habit that has changed your life?
Working out.
Do you work out a lot?
I've never been like the sporty kind, and I always thought, working out and me are like oil and water. But
Mm-hmm.
recently, okay, so last year, I kind of had a health scare where my neck got really messed up, and I couldn't like turn it, or I think I sprained it or something,
Mm.
but it was really
Oh, that's
scary, and
scary.
I had to go to the doctor, and I was like crying for 2, 3 days straight because I couldn't even like lay down.
Mm.
And
Wow.
after that, my partner and I, like, I think just decided that we need to be a little bit more health conscious and start taking care of our bodies, because like even
Mm.
all of this work that we do is kind of meaningless if our health is not where it needs to be. So we
Yeah.
started working out, and I think that actually really helped both of us a lot, in the sense of just being like a more calm person, and having like a healthy outlet where we don't feel like angry about things, or just learning how to like
Mm-hmm.
let things go. I think that was actually really life-changing for me.
That's amazing. Do you guys still work out together?
We tried working out together, but now we go separately, but we do go to so we go to the same trainer.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
different times.
different times.
That's good. All right. What is the best life or career advice that you've ever gotten?
Ooh. Oh, there's one. So there's this amazing graphic designer that I love and like adore, or adore is maybe not the right word, like worship. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Chris Do, and I think he goes by The Future on
Okay.
YouTube. And I remember he was talking about, you know, a great artist or a great designer who never shares their work is the world's biggest secret.
Mm.
And I think that really inspired me to like really understand that I need to constantly practice sharing my work and engaging with people, because I can make all this work for myself, but is it really like meaningful if I can't like put it out there and have
Yeah.
discussions with other people about it? And I think that kind of goes back to what I told you about the GIF thing when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Like, I think you always need to, whatever you make, like, don't be afraid and put it out there.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great one because I know a lot of people are so scared to post anything that they make. Artists are like
Yeah.
extra fragile sometimes.
Extra fragile. I
I
agree.
mean, do you still get afraid or nervous posting stuff, or are you kind of over it now?
Once in a while, yeah. And I
Mm.
think a lot of the times it happens around like that time of the month. Maybe this is too much like TMI, but
Yeah.
I do have like moments here and there where I'm feeling a little bit not as secure about things. But I think I just also then tell myself that, hey, like, what's the worst thing that can honestly come out of it? Like, just post it, like, just share it. Because
Yeah.
in the end, like,
Yeah.
even if you get like one negative comment or something, like, there's going to be more other people who appreciate it and want to tell you like their thoughts
Mm-hmm.
about it. So yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
get over it, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, finish the sentence. The most amazing part about life is.
Ooh, being creative.
Aw, spoken like a true
Yeah.
artist.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sure you can agree to this, but I think, we're not really pursuing this path necessarily because it's like the most money wise, like, beneficial or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But I think for me, being creative was honestly the best thing that I could have done. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it still is.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Dawn. So lastly, where can we find you online?
Ooh, so we have a website, www.dld.studio, and my Instagram is at Donley Design, and we also have a YouTube channel now.
Yay.
I think you just have to go on it and just search DLD.studio because we don't even have a custom domain yet.
I mean, once you do, and I know you will, I'll post the link in the show notes and the blog for this podcast.
Oh, that would be so awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Dawn. This was so much fun, and thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I hope you liked that conversation with Dawn Lee, and I hope you learned something from it. So if you are an aspiring graphic designer, I want to emphasize this point that she talked about. You want to sharpen your portfolio for the industry or even the person and the brand that you want to work with. It's not about having like a diverse, well-rounded portfolio. If you know who you want to work for, create work for that person or that brand, and that will make such a difference. You'll be able to stand out if you do that. Another thing I got to emphasize is you just have to put in the hours and the work. You just have to keep practicing and practicing until you get better. Dawn mentioned that she did a lot of dissecting from like TV shows and fashion websites on their design, and you kind of have to have that reverse engineer mindset. And if you want to get better, you can literally like try to replicate something cool that you find online. And the truth is, the only way to get better is to do the work and practice. Lastly, I also want to emphasize to our creators out there how important it is to share your work, to reach out and make those connections, to communicate rather than just like creating your art quietly in the corner. If Dawn never reached out to Jen Im or any other YouTubers, she would never have been able to work with them. And working with those YouTubers led to all these other amazing opportunities that have come her way. So if you admire someone and you really want to work with them, don't be shy about reaching out. Just do it. I know it's scary, but you have to build the courage to just like send that message, reach out, follow up, because some people are busy and they need follow-up emails. I know I do. And the worst thing that can happen is you get a no and you're right back where you started. Like, you don't have anything to lose by reaching out. You have everything to lose by not reaching out, because that's a definite no. So if you want to increase your chances at getting clients and getting work, you definitely have to put yourself out there, put your work out there, and also reach out. All right, that's it for today. Love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to The Lavendaire Lifestyle. If you like this podcast, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes. Next, make sure you check out the 2019 Artist of Life workbook and the daily planner by Lavendaire on my website, lavendaire.com/shop. Lastly, you can catch me on YouTube and Instagram at Lavendaire, where I have even more content for the Artist of Life. Sending you so much love. Bye.